Name a predator you have eaten. Not an animal that eats plants. A hunter, something that spent its whole life eating other animals. Most people get stuck. We eat cows, pigs, sheep, chickens, deer, rabbits, grain and grass all the way down. Out of the thousands of species humans farm and hunt, almost none of them are at the top of a food chain. That is not an accident, and it is not really about taste. The usual explanation is that predator meat tastes bad, gamey, tough, sour, and there is something to that. A muscle that sprints and fights is built differently from a muscle that stands in a field. But taste is the smallest part of this, and if it were the whole answer, we would simply have bred it out, the way we bred the bitterness out of almonds. The real answer is stranger. When you eat an animal, you are not just eating the animal. You are eating everything that animal ever ate. Start with the plainest version of the problem, cost. As a rough rule, only about 1/10 of the energy at one level of a food chain makes it to the next. The rest is spent living, moving, breathing, staying warm. So to grow 1 kilogram of predator, you first have to grow 10 kilograms of the thing it eats. And to grow that, 100 kilograms of what that eats. Farming a herbivore means farming grass. Farming a carnivore means farming everything underneath it. Nobody was ever going to build an agriculture out of that. But the deeper problem is not energy. It is that some things do not get spent, they accumulate. A trace of mercury in seawater ends up in plankton. Small fish eat a great deal of plankton. Big fish eat a great deal of small fish. At every step, the animal's body burns the energy and keeps the metal. It is called biomagnification, and it means the concentration climbs at every level while the animal is alive. Which is why, if you look at the fish the F.D.A. lists under choices to avoid for its highest mercury levels, you find king mackerel, marlin, orange roughy, shark, swordfish, Gulf tilefish, and bigeye tuna. Every single one is a predator, or something that lives a very long time, usually both. Here are the actual numbers from the F.D.A.'s own monitoring. Swordfish average just under 1 part per million of mercury. Shark, about the same. Gulf tilefish, higher still. Now compare that to the bottom of the list. Salmon, about 0.02 of a part per million. Sardines, tilapia, shrimp, lower again. A shark carries roughly 45 times the mercury of a salmon. Gulf tilefish against a sardine is a factor of about 86. Nobody put that mercury in the shark. The shark assembled it, one meal at a time, over a long life. And it is not only metals. Parasites work the same way. If a parasite lives in prey animals, then a predator eating those animals for years is collecting them. The Centers for Disease Control lists the meats that carry trichinella: bear, wild boar, walrus, wildcat, fox, wolf, seal. Read that list again, there is not a single grass eater on it. In 2022, a family gathered in South Dakota and shared a meal of black bear meat. The bear had been harvested in Saskatchewan. The meat had been frozen for 45 days. It was grilled and served rare. 8 people ate that evening. 6 of them got sick. And this is the part that stays with me. 2 of the 6 had not eaten any bear meat at all. They had eaten the vegetables that were cooked alongside it. When investigators tested the leftovers, the larvae were still alive, still moving, after 110 days in a freezer. The species was Trichinella nativa, which tolerates freezing. The thing most people assume makes meat safe simply does not apply. That was not a freak event. In a 2008 outbreak in Northern California, 30 of 38 people at a gathering fell ill from black bear meat. Among those who ate it raw or undercooked, the attack rate was 100%. Which brings us to the most extreme case anyone has recorded. Polar bears eat seals, seals eat fish, and vitamin A, unlike most vitamins, is stored rather than flushed. It collects in the liver, and it climbs the chain like everything else. When researchers measured it in 1943, polar bear and seal liver came back at between 12,000 and 26,000 international units of vitamin A. Not per meal, per gram. An adult's upper limit for a whole day is about 10,000. So a single gram of that liver can exceed what you should have in a day. A modest portion, 100 grams, puts you past 1 million. The symptoms are severe headache, blurred vision, nausea, dizziness, aching muscles, trouble coordinating. In bad cases, the pressure inside the skull rises. Days later, the skin starts to peel and the hair falls out. The American Arctic explorer Elisha Kane wrote it down in 1856, after his crew ate polar bear liver. It is one of the first descriptions of vitamin A poisoning anyone recorded. So, that is the case against eating predators. Except here is the thing, we do it constantly. Salmon is a predator. Tuna is a predator, so functionally is a chicken, which will eat any insect it can catch. We eat predators all the time and we are fine. Because the rule was never, don't eat predators. The rule is that an animal's body is a record of everything it ever ate. Eat something one step up the chain and that record is short. Eat something at the very top that lived for decades, and you are eating a lifetime of accumulation concentrated into a single meal. You are never just eating the animal in front of you. You are eating its whole life. So the next time you are deciding what is for dinner, you are not really choosing an animal. You are choosing how long a record you want to eat. If you can name a predator you have actually eaten, tell me in the comments. I would like to know. And subscribe, because Pip has got a new one every week.